Good morning, guys. I'm Diane. It's almost beach time, guys. I painted this a couple of years ago. Still one of my favorites. It reminds me of when I was young. Not young anymore. I'm old and fat. Anyway, sorry, I just put my dogs outside and I'm out of breath. Today's video is about the fact that I have been looking for peace all of my life. All of my life. And I can only remember a few days where I was happy and peaceful. I know that's sad. It is sad. But I made a mess of my life. I made a mess of it. And finally, in my 70s, I'm 75 right now, but I would actually say that I am at peace and I am content with where I live and how my life is going. I don't want to bore you with my life, but when I was like young in school, I was an introvert and I tried so hard to cover it up. Tried so hard. My daddy's family, almost all of them are quiet. I mean, super quiet. You'd go visit them on Sunday, you know what people used to do. And they would all just be sitting in the living room, you know, just sitting there, not talking. Of course, my mother was an extrovert, so she, you know, like put on a show while she's there, and they always loved her to come because they laughed. But anyway, moving forward, as I got in high school, I had two cousins that were kind of popular. I kind of followed them around on their coattails and achieved some form of popularity, I guess. I was named team sponsor by the football team. The football team voted for me to be their team sponsor. What's up with that? I don't know. Anyway, that was fun. You had to dress up and go out on the football field, that kind of thing. Be presented. Well, there was a thunderstorm the night that happened for me. That's just my life. But we went out in the rain, people holding umbrellas, but whatever. I'm talking thunder, lightning. Anyway, so like most people, years ago, maybe today they still do it, I don't know, but you marry your high school sweetheart, you know, get out of school, marry your high school sweetheart. I did that. Even though on my senior trip, we went to Washington, D.C. He went to another school, by the way. And while I was gone, he was dating other people, sleeping with them. And he said he did that later, he explained, because I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? This was years ago. Years ago. Things were different then, if you know what I mean. But anyway, I married him anyway. I mean, please. Does someone need to knock you in the head with a brick? Well, anyway, we got married, went to college together, had a child during college. All the while, he was a short order cook at the college at night. Some nights he'd come home at 1. Come on, it could close at 10. So I knew he was probably cheating on me again. But I didn't think about it much. I kind of put it out of my mind. But it was miserable living with him. You never knew what was going to set him off. You know, just a simple statement. My mom bought me a halter top. A halter top. I mean, they became popular. I was like hippie era, you know what I'm saying? So I put it on, and lo and behold, he came home and ripped it off of me that I was not wearing something like that. I mean, it's just stuff like that. Just always mad at me. I don't know why he married me, really. Anyway, we graduated college. Both got a job teaching school in another town, but we stayed in our hometown. But we would drive to the other town and taught school. He was a football coach, and a teacher. I taught elementary. Well, he started law school at night in another town the other way, in Birmingham, an hour away from where we lived. So again, some nights he didn't come home. So I don't know how I managed to live through all of that, but I did. I mean, it was just typical. And I never told my parents. Oh my God, my mom would have had a fit if I had told her half of the stuff that he did. Anyway, finally, he finished law school, and it took him 3 times to pass the bar. Now, this guy was of normal intelligence, but he was driven. He was a hard worker. That's my only good thing I'm going to say about him. He was a hard worker. He always made the money, took care of me and the kids. Then we had another daughter during that time. I mean, a daughter. We had a son and then a daughter. But finally he passed the bar. And lo and behold, as soon as he passed that bar, he walked out on me and the kids and didn't look back. There was no child support. He saw the kids maybe 10 times. I'd go meet him and let him take the kids to see his parents, that kind of thing. And then finally that stopped. He married a 20-year-old. Well, he put her in the hospital several times. She finally wised up and left him, but that is beside the point. All I'm telling you, I've had a heck of a life. A heck of a life. Well, I kept teaching school, taking care of my kids. And one day at church, I ran into a guy that I graduated with. We started talking. He called me later and asked me out. Well, I married him about a year later. And I knew before I married him, I probably shouldn't. He was very faithful. I mean, he was faithful after we got a divorce. But he was a liar and was horrible with money. Horrible with money. He borrowed money all the time, didn't pay it back. Just a wreck. Just a real wreck. Well, that's another torment for me, There's no peace in that marriage. I'm always wondering what he was going to do next. It was like every 3 months, it was a major thing would pop up. A phone call that I didn't know anything about. And I'd answer the phone and I'd say, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about that. Well, you're his wife, you have to know. That kind of thing. But anyway, I left that marriage. I left it. And then my mom got cancer. That was a long, drawn-out thing. And right before she died, she said, please go back to your ex-husband. He loves you so much. I can just die in peace if I know that there's someone going to take care of you and you're not going to be alone. Well, what are you going to do when your mother's dying and she asks you that? So I did. Went back to him. Same old crap. Same old crap. And finally I left him. And then Ashley, my daughter, and I started flipping houses. We thought, oh, this is wonderful. You think, oh, you're making a lot of money. No. We live in North Alabama. Things don't cost that much here. So we were making about, $8,000 or $10,000 a house, which took us 6 months to do. Well, that's not that good. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, I was struggling to feed my kids. I had 4 children at that time. 2 by each husband. So I was my daughter flipped a house here where we live now, and she said, it's so quiet out here, I think I'm gonna move out. She had just gotten divorced too. Yeah, we're divorced people, you know. Wish we weren't, but we are. Most of my kids are not, though, by the way. So there was a trailer park next door to her. It was empty. No trailers were there, but people were looking at the lot because they already had septic tanks and all that to put another trailer park. So I decided to buy that land. Like I said, we were flipping houses. We were separate, but we did things together and paid each other to help, you know. So I decided to buy that lot and build a house on it for sale. So that's what I did, started building the house. 2008 happened. You've got to remember 2008, when everybody was losing everything. Well, I lost the house I was actually living in. Couldn't make the payments on it. My curtain business went flat. Nothing, no orders, which was how I was living. My second husband did pay me child support, always, and he helped me when I needed it. Every time I asked, he was good about that. That's my good thing about him. He always helped me and the kids, always. So, like I said, he didn't even date for, I don't know, over 10 years. Over 10 years. And actually, we're still married. And he lives with a girlfriend right now. But I didn't want to get a divorce again. What was the point? We're old. Who cares? If something happens to him, I get his Social Security. You know what I'm saying? So, we're still married. But anyway, I lived in the house that I built. It wasn't finished, but I moved into it and finished it all along as I could over the span of 10 years, finishing it. My son got a divorce. Here I go telling you about divorces again, but it's just life. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. He moved in the upstairs of my unfinished upstairs into my house. I had to have some carpet put down just so they could move in with his 2 kids. Well, he didn't have a job at the time. He's also a teacher. He went almost a year without a job, so I had to take care of them. All I've done all my life is take care of people and messes. And I don't mean physical messes, although I did that too, but I'm talking about financial messes. I've just always been the person to take care of everything. I feed everybody. I work up there. I worked at least 10 hours a day, even on the weekend. At least 10 hours a day. Would stop, fix dinner for everybody, and they would have friends that came over. I never knew who I was cooking for. And all that was a priority. And because that's what a mother does, right? I did not feel, well, sometimes I feel put upon. You know what I'm saying? But then I lost a grandson. Ashley's son that lived next door. He was killed by a drunk driver. Well, we were all devastated, which changed our life forever. So I started looking for peace. I was so torn up. I can't even, unless you've lost a child, you do not know what I'm talking about. I've lost parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles. But until you lose a child who lost their entire life, their whole life is gone, it's so hard to deal with. It's so hard. So I started looking for peace. Actually, about 5 years after he was gone, I knew that I had, if I was going to continue to live, I had to find another way to live and be at peace in my mind. I had to live this life. Dadgummit, I was going to try to find some peace. Finally, for once in my life. I sold my house, moved my building that I had in the yard down here, redid it inside. Finally found some peace and contentment. Yes, I still grieve. It's been 8 years, just a few days. It'll be 8 years. But I finally found peace. I just wanted to share that with y'all. I've been through so much. Have you been through a lot? What the heck's going on in your life? Try to find some peace. Is it still hectic? Try to find some peace somewhere. Do some things to change your life. Okay, I think that's it. I'm exhausted now. Just mentally exhausted. Now I think I'll paint. I think I'll paint something else today. So I'm going to let you go. I'll see you next time. Bye.